Hello and welcome to Off the Track.
We are Evolve UK, the 2019 World Champions.
Today we're joined by Ben from Ascension, James from Horizon, Matt from Invisity, Michael from Precision, and Peter from Infinitude.
Thanks, guys. So, yes, as I said, we're joined by the usual complement of Off the Track hosts, and thank you guys for coming on the show. So, we're just going to start by asking you a couple of questions and we'll discuss them. So firstly, why no backpod?
Why no backpod? Because, well, one of the things we found when testing our car initially was that we found the car was faster with a longer wheelbase, and so our car had pretty much the longest wheelbase we could give it. And then by that point, it had such a small gap between the back of the wheels and the back of the car that there wasn't enough room to fit effective side pods.
And our car was kind of designed around a centre of mass kind of philosophy, really.
Yeah.
In that we just wanted to move as much material as we could upwards, I guess. So we kind of got rid of this back pods just to save weight in that aspect.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, different.
Yeah, we never really saw an improvement, but pretty much every other team
uses them.
At Worlds uses them. So
we must be doing something wrong.
We might probably doing something wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, you won, so
yeah. So you're not doing that much wrong. So why does the longer wheelbase help the car perform better? Do you think?
We found that it just improves the stability because you've got quite a violent launch with a canister accelerating at many meters per second, and the longer wheelbase just means it has a slightly smoother launch, and you get less of a problem from the front nose diving or rising up.
Yeah, so you're trying to mitigate that.
You just mitigate that and improve your efficiency, so you've got more energy to power down the rest of the track.
Right.
Yeah. More effective energy transfer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what did you learn from Worlds?
We learned quite a lot. I mean, it was our first time for all of us going, so I think it was quite an incredible opportunity to just compete and meet people and get to race against people from around the world. And I think in terms of the competition, we learned a lot about what we would do if we did it again.
Yeah, I think we changed quite a lot if we were to go back. We were quite, I guess we're not necessarily weak, but we struggled in some areas, which we'd done well at nationals, and I guess became complacent. So yeah, I mean, if we were to go back, we're not going to, but if we were, I think we'd change quite a lot, especially, I guess we changed verbals.
Yeah.
We didn't nail the verbals very well. But yeah, you know, we learned the general stuff about teamwork and all that stuff through the process of working on the portfolios and that aspect. I feel like we actually learned more in the build-up really than actually when we got there. What I did personally. I'm not sure about you.
No, I think I think learned a lot from both building up and working towards the goal of getting to Worlds, and then when you're at Worlds, just participating and learning more about the competition. And also, you just learn how big Formula One in schools is.
Yeah. And we genuinely did not expect to win. So I guess we were a little bit more relaxed. We didn't at the competition. I didn't even really feel like we were competing for the podium. Didn't feel like that anyway. So I guess we were a little bit more relaxed. But I mean, yeah, it worked out in the end.
Right. So do you feel like, I don't know about you guys, but I found that after Worlds, I just look back on the experience. I see so many opportunities that we had to improve. Obviously, you guys won, so maybe you don't have so many opportunities. But does anyone else who's gone to Worlds here also feel that? Like James, do you look back and?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we did it 2 years. We did it in 2017 and 18. So there's always a lot you can improve. I mean, I think that was for a couple of years. That was really a big thing. Like when like Hyperdrive went back, like they improved on all of the stuff that they did, and then the same stuff when we went back. So it was kind of like, I mean, for us, probably, I think biggest thing I learned was probably just more about the folios, probably how they go together well, and managing time and making sure the deadlines were ready for them. I mean, if you sort of compare the two, I sort of led Aurora and Horizon. For Aurora, we with the Germans, we handed up the portfolios like as it ticked over at the minute, and we were working all night on the last night. And for Horizon, we handed up with like a day and a half to go. So like those sort of things like were quite a big improvement and just stuff you learnt from. But yeah, it's also, I guess, yeah, being like, because I did the engineering the second time round, you could kind of see, I guess maybe because I was doing a different role the first time, you could see a little bit differently well, from my point of view, I could see what the engineers on Aurora weren't doing as best as I thought we could. But yeah, I mean, you get better at everything. Like everything you do in life, I guess you can always do better and look back on. So it's probably pretty good, and it's just a good thing for F1 and schools teams in general, I guess, to always go back and you really kind of reap the rewards. You get out what you put in with it. So if you're willing to do it again, like you can always do so much better.
So George and Freddie, do you agree with a lot of that? I mean, you guys haven't had that much time, I don't think, to reflect on F1 in schools. It's been a couple of months now, well, quite a few months actually. But do you have similar feelings?
Yeah, for sure. I've only ever actually done one season, I guess, but just from regionals to nationals and nationals to worlds, there's so much you learn. And also, they're doing feedback sessions now with the judges, which is, I guess, quite good. It's good when the judges are relatively harsh and they're honest with you with what is good and what is not so good. And then at the next round of the competition, that's you can improve on those aspects.
And did you guys get those feedback sessions this year?
Yeah, both nationals and worlds.
Right.
So when with the UK, what's the like process of like qualifying for worlds? How many competitions are there beforehand that you had to go through?
So you start doing regionals, which would be something like London and the southeast, or the north of England, or
Okay.
South Wales, something like that. And then 3 pro teams and 1 dev team. Although I think sometimes it's changing, more dev teams go through to the national finals. And then from there, it's a bit confusing about which teams go through. You get the top 3 teams overall, and then you get the top Scottish team and the top Welsh team, and the top development team go through to Worlds.
Okay.
So that's the very basic overview of qualifying for Worlds in the UK.
Right.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure, because like in Australia you have, like Australia is like broken up into states, and then like you have state finals, which is probably comparable to your regionals, and then the winners, like the top 3 or whatever from each state finals, go on to the nationals, and it's the same sort of thing. But like also there's like Queensland, I think it's just Queensland or maybe even New South Wales has regional finals before the state finals.
Queensland and New
So
South
like
Wales.
yeah, I wasn't sure if it was the same. Yeah.
Oh, and Victoria as well, don't they?
No.
I don't know.
No,
No,
they don't.
Victoria goes
Okay.
straight to States.
All right.
But yeah, nice. So I wonder, what do you? I know we've already talked about this on another episode, but how do you reckon, like if they did those other like
The
regional,
continental. Yeah.
ones,
Oh.
how do you reckon they would group that? Do you reckon with like, do you reckon Europe or would be one big one?
I think that you could make a Europe region. You've got enough.
Yeah.
I think you'd have enough because you've got Cyprus, Greece, Germany, Ireland, UK, and Romania. I'm forgetting probably really obvious countries as well. But I think you've got enough to make one. And then then I think you'd have an American one.
Yeah.
Although South America is a very big region if you have it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you probably need to have a Europe and Africa one combined, I think, because there's a couple African countries.
What was there?
There's definitely, some coming in at least.
Oh,
I'm pretty
okay.
sure
I mean,
there's already
you
a couple in.
You could probably implement it something like the state and regionals in Australia, where Africa just goes to the Worlds, whereas the European and the Americas have those continentals because they're feeding in a lot more teams, and you just adjust how many are going up from the continentals versus that kind of thing. It might create less of an even playing field, but from what we've seen with the number of teams that from those countries that are doing well, I think that getting them straight up to the world level might increase their chances of winning. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think maybe if they were from less experienced countries, maybe just like it would kind of have to be like under the table kind of thing. But like if F1 in schools like sent them to the next competition, and even if they didn't win, like if they did badly, like it was like you would have it kind of already prearranged that they would go to Worlds, but they would at least get that experience of going to another competition or something maybe. Because as opposed to just like having a team from an unexperienced country, like I think Italy was started either this year or last year or the year before, something like that. I don't know if they went to any finals beforehand, but like you learn something every competition, so probably don't want to jump straight into Worlds, so maybe they could do something like that.
Maybe, yeah. So obviously, Evolve, you guys only had 3 team members at Worlds, and I know in Precision we found it difficult with 6 to get all the work done. So how did you guys cope with only 3 people in your team?
I mean, we had some advantages. So by the time I was doing Worlds, I was actually on a gap year between school and university. So
Right.
that probably helped add sort of another person in terms of so in terms of time ability. I think we had quite a good foundation from the year before, so lots of it we could work on what we had and improving it, mostly in terms of getting through nationals and qualifying for Worlds.
Yeah, quite a lot of the stuff we did was brand new for Worlds.
Yeah,
but I think we coped with it fine. I think it was the difficult bit. Really, is just the volume of work, but it makes teamwork and that aspect of the competition much easier. In things like the verbal presentation, with just 3 team members, it's much easier to flow between people talking compared to having 6. That's what we found anyway. So, there are drawbacks to it, but there are also some benefits of having smaller.
yeah.
I don't think we would have chosen to have 3 necessarily.
No.
4.
Did you always have 3 like the whole time you're competing, or?
No, we've had lineup changes over the years, and it's been a bit like we've gone from being sort of 4 to 5 to 6, and then down to 3.
Oh, okay.
But it's sort of I think, but to add to Freddie's point, I think in some ways working as a 3 because we could communicate very easily with each other, and we could often all be sort of free at once. It made working together quite efficient. So I think that helped. We could be efficient and we could get lots of work done and sort of be able to work off each other's areas. And I think one of the things we didn't do was have very specific divisions between the work we were doing individually. We would all work pretty much on everything.
Yeah, I think that's one of the only ways I think you can get a 3 to work is that you're kind of all helping out in different areas, because you do often need a second opinion, especially on the design aspect or graphics. If you're just working on your own the whole time, I think you're not never going to get the best solution. You've got to have someone to bounce off and tell you when it's wrong and tell you when it's bad.
One of the theories that I have is that when you reduce the number of members in a team, each person is responsible for more, but they can do more that's related to their role. So someone else, like a graphics designer role, would be doing more with the website and the marketing and all that kind of stuff, and that kind of vertical integration that you have enables them to, even though they have a higher workload, some of it's just more efficient because they don't have to communicate and discuss this with someone else. Is that something that you think you saw? Because you've obviously worked with 4 and 5 before.
Yeah, I think you were talking about the consistency of team identity in the previous episode.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily a problem we necessarily had too much, because we were such a small team, we didn't have to worry about someone doing our branding wrong, because
We all knew.
we all came up with it together, and it was quite a close, small team.
Yeah, and I think we're all confident. We're all very confident in each other's abilities. So lots of the time, we would allow people to go and work independently on one area, and because they don't need to constantly check in with what's happening, they can get lots of work done very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good points. Yeah.
And so with this, obviously your members left. Did you guys ever feel like you didn't want to, like you wanted to leave as well? How did you handle your other team members leaving?
Well, I've always really, really enjoyed F1 in schools. So I think when at the start of the 2019 season, we dropped down several people quite quickly. People sort of wanting to focus on school studies, which is quite a sensible idea, really. But yeah, probably something I should have done. But it was sort of, I really wanted to do it, but previously I'd always been focusing on the engineering side, and sort of that's all I had to do was design and make a car. When these people left, it sort of fell to me to become team manager, which I think that was what sort of slightly scared me. I've got a bit more responsibility, and I'm responsible for the whole project working together now. So I think that made me a bit, but I still got to work on the car, and to be fair, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed designing the car so much that if it meant I got to carry on doing that, I do other work very happily. And I actually found that I really enjoyed the management work side of the project as well. Yeah. And then, well, Freddie joined as we had people leaving.
Yeah. So I joined in as the old team manager left, and I guess two of her friends, you could say, left at the same time with her. So yeah, I mean, it kind of felt like the team was falling apart as soon as I joined.
Yeah, it wasn't a good start.
It wasn't a great start, no. But
welcome, Freddie. This is our team. This is all that's left.
But I did get on really well with both George and Lewis, so it all worked out, and worked out in the end.
Yeah.
Did you guys find it tough to balance F1 in schools and your schoolwork?
Yeah. I mean, I spent quite a lot of time on F1 in schools. I mean, we were only 3, so we were spending lots of time.
Yeah.
And I think, especially, so the UK national finals was in March. And then I started my A-levels, which are the sort of final school exams in May. And sort of, I didn't really start revising for them until I'd finished the national final. So I think stuff like that got a bit stressful.
Yeah, there's
balancing
definitely, with the 3, there's definitely a lot of work. I probably, in the year 2 worlds, I probably split F1 in schools and schoolwork 50-50. Just trying to get as much schoolwork and F1 as I could done without getting behind in either. I probably did prioritize F1 in schools just because I enjoyed it, really. So if it was a toss up between the two, which one I should work on, I normally chose F1.
Yeah, but actually, I think in many ways, doing F1 in schools helped with my other subjects. So, sort of learning skills, and weirdly, it helped a lot with my art because I ended up just using computer design and art. So things like that, it helped. And it's one of those things where doing F1 in schools made going to school more fun. So actually helped in that way.
Yeah.
And I mirror a lot of the things that you're saying in my own experience. That after I did F1 in schools, like my interpersonal abilities at work and in school, just the ability to get things done was far higher than before, and I just had a better sensibility of what needed to be done. Does anyone else here notice that kind of change in themselves as well? Ben, Peter?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely, yeah.
I think it makes you realise the value of education and what you're learning, how it can be put into practice.
And it's better to learn by doing than to just have knowledge drilled into you.
Mm.
Yeah. F1 schools is really, it's almost like a separate kind of schooling like it's all very interactive based compared to what regular school would be, as well as providing you with different life experiences and life skills that you wouldn't usually gain within school.
And so, with
Yeah.
only 3 people, how did you like separate out what needed to be done? Did you divide it into some very marketing focused roles and some very engineering focused roles, or what was the go with that?
Yeah, to an extent. I think all three of us were definitely more on the design and engineering. That's what we were interested in. So I guess we'll explain what each of us did. Lewis, who's not here, was kind of in charge of enterprise. He did most of the enterprise portfolio. I did the pit display, the marketing, the social media document, team identity, uniform, stuff like that.
Yeah, and I did the management side, being in charge, bossing the others around, not very well. But then also I got to focus a lot on the engineering of the car. But then the others were helping out with that and working together with things like that. So it was, but generally, again, it was quite fluid in terms of the jobs we were doing. And we were always ready to fill in a gap that someone else needed help with, or just go off and do an area because it needed doing quickly. And you were the person available to do it.
Yeah.
So we didn't have particularly strict roles, but I think that was a result of being a 3. We sort of had to.
Yeah. I think if we'd been a bigger team, perhaps we would have had strict roles and would have kept to our specific area much more closely. But we did have to help each other out just because there wasn't really enough of us.
Right, yeah. Because I know with Precision we had a very clear defined roles. I did the graphics design and the car rendering, and we had Jack doing the car design, and then we had Lauren who managed the team and the folios and that kind of thing. So you guys just, whoever had the most free time and was closest to that aspect of the competition would do that kind of thing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Kind of. I mean, we definitely had team roles. We all knew what we were doing. It wasn't that fluid, but
and we all knew the areas that people were best at. So those would be the jobs that we would try and allocate to each person.
Yeah.
But sometimes it would be a bit, this might not be your comfort zone, but this needs doing.
Yeah.
And you can do it. So, but actually, I think that helped because I wouldn't have really volunteered myself to do any sort of management stuff and a leadership role. But I just had to do it, and it was, you learn a lot more from the competition, and you get a lot more out of it, I think. If you try and get yourself involved in as many areas as you can. And I think when it comes to the competition, it helps because someone might come up to your pit display and they might start asking you about engineering, but you're not the engineer. But I think it helps if you have worked a bit on the engineering of the car so that you can answer their questions, and sort of, I think you seem more confident as a group.
Yeah, it also helps for verbals. You've got to talk about lots of different areas of the competition. If you genuinely have worked on those areas or have had a hand in it, then you're going to speak about it much more fluently. And it's going to, if someone asks you a question about it at the end, then you're going to know the answer.
Yeah, well, you're more likely to know the answer.
Yeah, more likely.
And so you spoke before about how you did lots of work. Probably, I think both of you said that. Well, one of you was on a gap year, weren't you?
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah. So, when you were in school, and obviously the one that did in year 12 or your final year of school, sorry.
Yeah.
How much did you do in a week? And like on a day average, what were you doing? Far too much, or like looking back, do you think it was too much, or do you think it was just the right amount?
Yeah, so I was fortunate to basically be able to do F1 in schools all day, every day, which also probably wasn't that fortunate because I think it probably drove me mad at points. But I could probably spend 40 hours a week doing it, which was quite a lot. It basically sort of turned into a full-time job. But Freddie and Lewis,
I guess ours was different because we had school and then we had school work as well to keep up with. But I mean, it's hard to put a number on it now. But yeah, we definitely put a good chunk of our free time into F1 in schools, and yeah, because especially when George has got lots of free time, it's hard to, I guess, keep up with all the work that he's doing and feel like you're pulling your own weight when someone else is doing lots of the work.
Yeah, so because I could still come into school, and we'd have, I think in the months leading up to Worlds, we'd have lunchtime and after school meetings most days.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of see each other in that department. Lots of in our technology department, lots of the day, and especially in the time leading up to Worlds, that made communication really easy. We just see each other throughout the day and discuss different areas which we were working on.
I don't know if it's something you have, but we have free periods at school, which means you have that. Okay, so I mean, when we were preparing for nationals, I was still at school, and they were all F1 in schools, and that was half my time at school.
Yeah,
free periods.
Yeah, same for us.
For people listening that don't yet have free periods or don't really understand the context, you don't have them in your education system. Basically, it sounds like from the UK system and the Australian system, you get free periods when you're in your later years of school where you can do work for your classes and that kind of thing, because you only do like 4 subjects in year 12 in Australia. And so you can spend your time in those doing all of the extra work that you need to do for their subjects, like writing essays for your history or something like that. And so what James, I think you were saying, is you spent most of your year 12 frees doing F1 in schools?
When I was in year 11, well, because in year 12 you do 4 subjects plus research projects, so you kind of do 5 subjects. And then yes, 11 you do 6, and then like before that you do 8. So yeah, when I was in year 11, it was actually kind of a bit of a different situation, because when I did F1 in year 10 for Aurora, we got given SACE credits for doing that, so that was equivalent to 1 year 11 subject. So I dropped one of my year 11 subjects and did 1 less, which meant I had another line of frees compared to what everyone else had.
Which I'm still really annoyed about, by the way, because I never got any SACE credits for my F1 in schools.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's year 11, so it doesn't really mean anything. Like, if it was year 12, that would have actually meant something, but
yeah,
year 11's kind of pointless. But so I spent pretty much all that time, I guess. It's not always productive, but yeah, spent that time working on F1 a lot.
And sorry, Evolve, you said that you, or Freddie, you had the frees, didn't you? So you spent a lot of your free periods doing F1 in schools.
Yeah, it was easier to do quite a lot of work at school, and then because I had George and Lewis both there to query things and ask about different aspects. So I did do lots of the work at home, but in those free periods or study periods, as we call them at our school, that was one of the best opportunities to get some productive work done.
Yeah, and I suppose it's probably easier to get work done at school, or at least I found it was, because you've got a lot less distractions for the most part.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Because I myself, I found it a lot easier to do it at home.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I have a terrible.
Yeah, you don't want to deal with a school computer, do you?
No, that was the main thing for me. Yeah.
But I also have a terrible ability of staying on task. So I think being in school and that being the area that I just do work in, I had a better sense of work needs to get done while I'm here than when I'm at home, when I can get distracted by other things, my dogs and all that.
Yeah, okay.
So that mentality I had.
I think I found that lots of things, especially with the engineering, it helped to be at school. So using the track all day, it was and using the track and the 3D printer and the manufacturing tools was something that I was spending lots of my time doing, and so I sort of had to be at school. So I think that's where I got most of my work done.
Yeah.
Even when I wasn't at school, I would be in school working.
Right. And
If that makes sense.
yeah, okay. And so with your work, obviously working all the time, how long before the World Finals did you guys have everything together? And like, when was your car design finalized and manufactured and all that kind of stuff?
Our car design, I know our portfolios we had to submit on a Friday or something. I can't remember. We had our portfolios done one day before, like the final proof check of everything was done one day before the
I mean, they were
submission
pretty
deadline.
much done quite a lot earlier than that. It was just all the making sure the spelling, punctuation, and grammar, and that part of it was all completely finalised.
Took about a week of constant reading over to get rid of all of the typos.
Probably still mistakes in there, but I don't ever want to read them just in case. In case I find something. So
the car itself was made about a week before we flew out, like finished. So I think the body was cut about 2 weeks before we went.
Is that quite late? Did you guys do much before that?
I think for Horizon, I think we milled them about a month before we left.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know, how many cars did you guys make in total?
Final cars we made 4 cars.
Oh, okay.
But we put a really bad coat of paint on one of them, and so we ended up with 3 cars.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we probably just started a bit earlier because we made a bunch for sponsors at the same time as well. So we probably made about 10 for our whole final bunch, and most of them were for sponsors. So I guess but I mean, if you do leave it later, you also get more time for design. So it's a bit of a way up there.
Yeah, we would have had the development of our car done a bit faster, but we had, in about September, we just had 3 weeks where we could get the track out once per week because we had to put the track out in the corridor of our school, like the full-length track.
Oh, yeah.
And just for 3 weeks, the car would just keep breaking, and we just couldn't get any useful results from our testing. And so it would just be a case of 3D printing and designing a whole new set of things that would be strong enough, and then something new would break on each one. So it
wasn't always the car. Because we didn't have a proper track. We just kind of made our own one.
Yeah, on the floor.
Sometimes it was that which was the problem. So it was quite frustrating, definitely, that part where George especially was spending lots of time designing and making these new parts, and then everything would just explode. And it's part of the competition. But sure.
I think that held us back. I think that held the car back by maybe 2 weeks, but we still got it done in time. The pit display
it was designed quite early, but we just had to.
It took some time to get it printed.
Yeah,
because we had it printed onto cardboard that folded together into sort of 3 modules. That
it's kind of a flat pack design. We took it in our luggage rather than shipping it out earlier.
Yeah, because it counted as we got to take it out as one suitcase. So it was still bigger than the oversized luggage scanner at Heathrow, but
we didn't have to pay for shipping.
We didn't have to pay anything extra. Just counted as one of our suitcases. But we did have to. It was big enough that it didn't go through the X-ray scanner, so they had to take everything out and swab it for explosives, which was an interesting experience.
Yeah, a little bit worrying. Just as we're leaving.
Just thinking, I've been coming from the chemistry department from school. There could be something that just goes, no, this is an explosive.
Yeah.
I take it that they didn't find anything explosive then?
No. No. I would say that was printed about a month or slightly more before we actually went out.
We never actually
we never opened
it. We only ever first time we saw it was actually was when we were putting it together, and it wasn't actually perfect necessarily, was it?
No, there were a few crease lines we needed to make in the cardboard.
Yeah.
Which weren't in the mock-up one we had. which were a bit of a surprise. But we never opened it because we were too worried. Because it was cardboard, we were too worried that we would damage it and crease it before, like when we took it back down and put it back into the box.
I also didn't want people to check the spelling before we went because I was worried that I'd made a mistake or something. I would get in trouble, but
or like use the wrong font or something like that.
It was because you could read
wrong
It's
font.
because
Yeah.
we could see one line under the bubble wrap,
Oh yeah,
and it had a spelling mistake in it.
yeah.
Oh no!
One line you can see.
So we managed to put, I think, so you can look at images of our pit display now and find all of them.
I'm not sure how it was. I'm not sure where
It was
that came
yeah.
from, but it's pretty bad. And then
But we put a little bit of vinyl over that one.
on one of our sponsors' business cards, their Twitter was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, which isn't the end of the world really, but they were
That's
there.
their
and they
fault.
saw it, but,
Yeah.
wow. Oh well.
So in your preparation for the World Finals, did you have any mentors to support you?
Well, we were. I guess we were the first. Yes, the first team from our school ever going to Worlds. There wasn't really the mentors in that aspect from people who'd been before. We didn't really have anyone to talk to about what it was like.
Yeah. I think we'd had... So for Worlds, we were a bit unsure about what was happening. Listening to this podcast was very helpful. It gave us a sense of what Worlds might be like. I mean, Lewis and I had lots of experience of nationals, and so we basically prepared for it to be one step up.
Yeah, I guess mentors. I guess George and Lewis had much more experience than I, so I guess you could say they were my mentors. But I wouldn't, it wasn't really that kind of dynamic.
Yeah.
But I definitely learned a lot from them.
I mean, we were able to work with engineers from our lead sponsor, BAE Systems. We can just get a sponsor plug in there.
Yeah, they're probably.
They were helpful, and we spoke to aerodynamicists there. And so we had good, solid advice, but we didn't have any from World Finals. Oh, no, we did. We had James from 6 Degree.
Yeah.
So 2016 World Finals. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had like a few people that we could contact and message, like with a quick query.
But I guess the competition
Yeah.
has developed so much since then. Hard to
Yeah.
judge if it's still like it was then.
So do you feel like you could have had more support, or were you pretty happy with the amount of support you got?
We could have had more. I
We
mean,
could have had more, but in hindsight, it was fine.
Yeah.
I guess there isn't much. I don't really know what it's like in Australia, but I feel like there's quite a strong team Australia. Is that fair in saying?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
well, you all have
From-
tops.
You're all the same top.
It makes you look very professional.
Yeah. Whereas in the UK, there's very little communication between teams at all, really, or between the central F1 in Schools company.
I would say it's probably the same like in Australia. It was just like the body that manages F1 in schools in Australia called REA. They just they make tops for Team Australia
Yeah.
and they just give it to everyone. But apart from that, there's no real communication between any of the teams.
Not
Oh, right.
officially,
Yeah.
but there's definitely communication somewhat.
Oh, I mean, sure, like friendly stuff, but perhaps. But
Well, I
mean,
sent
now
memes to
it's-
Evolve a lot, so.
yeah, I feel like
I don't know about you guys.
you guys in your year were probably like outliers
Yeah.
to the normal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we didn't talk to basically any of the
Yeah.
other teams prior to being at Worlds.
Yeah, us
And even then, we did some stuff with other Team Australia teams while in Singapore, outside of the competition. Because I think we went with was it named Pink Quattro at the time? I think it was Pink Quattro. They came 9th. They came just above us by like 1 point. Not salty at all. So we did a lot of stuff with other teams at the competition, and I don't know about the other teams. I don't usually see other countries have such a strong presence of their like in-country coordination team, because we have I don't want to say media people, but there's definitely Deborah and Mike and John Schroeder. They all show up with a bunch of support staff as well. There's like 10 or so in total support the teams while they're over the seas, and
Yeah.
so I don't see that kind of stuff from other countries. You guys have something like that in like Team UK or something like that?
Not really. I mean, the Australian, when we were there, the Australian contingent seemed very slick, and
Mm.
you seemed like you sort of knew what you were doing. I mean,
I think
you did, but yeah, it seemed like there were lots of people that there was a large network.
yeah.
I think just people walking around.
I think you can put it down a lot to Australia's just large amount of experience with F1 in schools.
Yeah.
Like if you go and look at previous winners and podium placings for F1 in schools, I think for the past 7 to 8 years, Australia has finished on the podium at least once every single year.
Yeah.
Except
from
last
memory.
year.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
Yeah.
Exactly.
2015 was that Michael? Was there
Oh
one?
crap! No, because and 2015, yes, because that was Hyperdrive came fourth, and they were the highest performing Australian team. So yes, with a few
Don't-
exceptions, Australia does a very good job. We got 3 teams in the top 10 2015, so we were like a good 30% of the top 10. I can't remember the team. It was a collaboration team that came 14th, I think it was in
Yeah.
2015.
We had what was it? 2 in the top 5 this year, 3 top
Yeah.
10, and all of us were top 55.
Congrats.
Yeah, but yeah, so I think that's why you probably see the more slick, kind of together Australian team, because we just have been doing well at it for a long time.
We were one of the first countries
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
also.
I mean, so was the UK, but
But,
Yeah.
I think
But, like,
I think a lot of it probably just comes from having REA work maybe a bit closer with the teams when it comes to
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like, we
'cause-
got like 4 or so emails a week at a minimum from Deb in the lead up to the competition. Like the communication
In like the
about us
final
has been-
weeks, yeah.
Yeah, it was very strong, and she had a good idea of what was going on with us as well. But
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
what's
assume
something
that's-
that helps compared to the UK is that obviously with the UK you've got Wales, Scotland, England. Does Northern Ireland come into that as well, or
There's a Northern Irish team won Worlds once or
Right.
something.
okay?
But-
Yeah, but you've got Northern Ireland
It's
as
a
well,
bit-
so it's a bit more divided. I'd imagine.
Yeah.
And you've also probably got F1 in Schools UK is also the people running the
Oh,
world competition.
Yeah. So I think that's
So-
a bit. I think I noticed that in that. I think they didn't want to
seem biased.
Help too much.
to
or,
seem
yeah,
biased
yeah.
by having because we knew Mark and Nelson, Tim, Oscar,
Mm.
Katie. We knew all of those people, so it was a bit sort of I don't think they wanted to create more.
They're
Yeah,
also
that's
probably
fair.
a bit too busy with the
organising
worlds
it.
as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
Yeah, because you guys probably don't have the same. I felt somewhat weird experience where Deborah's gone from being someone who you have to I don't
Runs
wanna
the
say
competition
argue
sort of
with, but
thing.
yeah,
To
someone
be
who
like a friend kind of thing, like a
Exactly.
teacher, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a really weird dynamic that once you get to the world level, you and Deborah are far more on an even playing field now than before. And so the conversations I have with Deborah now are far less of a student and a competition overseer or a teacher type figure, and they're more like 2 people who work together. Even though I've never done any marshalling or anything, you guys probably don't have so much of an equaling out of that kind of thing. Would I be
Yeah.
accurate in saying that? Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, the people we know are still the people that are in charge. So we've got to. Yeah, we can't just sort of go up and ask them questions without sort of hassling them.
Mm,
And I saw Mark was answering loads of questions after the whole rear wing thing.
What
He
happened
looks
with the
very
rear
busy.
wings?
Yeah.
Oh.
What's your guys'
Oh.
take on the
Oh.
rear wing thing, by the
Oh,
way?
no.
What
Oh,
is
yeah,
the rear
the
wing
rear
thing?
wing
I don't
thing.
know what the rear wing thing is.
Or James, have you not been? Hang on, James, have you not been listening to the podcast? We talked about this episode 3 in Carols by Crofty Light.
I don't know.
Because
Okay.
the rear wing, the rear wing has to be one single support, not one single support, one single span.
Yeah.
You can't have a support in the middle
And
unless you
uninterrupted
can
span.
have a support. Apparently, is what they ruled in the end. But you're meant to have it
Oh.
effectively that it's supported from each end, like a
Yeah.
well, not like a Formula One car because they have got supports in the middle, but as well. But it should be like a normal.
In principle,
Racing
like what an
car.
F1 car.
Yeah, in
like,
principle.
I get what you mean.
Yeah. But lots of teams didn't do that,
Yeah.
and there was a whole appeal because so in the wording of the rules, I think it was quite clear what was required, but then there was one diagram at the back which
Wrong.
really
isn't it?
should have been updated.
Yeah.
The wording above
Yeah.
it was a bit ambiguous. I think it was a bit ambiguous in case because previously they must have thought, oh, something might be wrong with this, so we'll make the wording a bit ambiguous. But then that diagram kind of showed that you could have essential support, and then I don't know.
If less teams had got it wrong, I think they would have just got the penalty. But because so many
It's about a third of teams
Teams.
or something.
made that mistake, it was everyone in schools thought it must be more than just getting it wrong. There must be a problem
And also,
with
it's,
them.
and also, it's because under the rules, the penalty was something like 250 points.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was.
So you would. So at one point, people were saying, "Oh, you might get negative scrutineering points or something." But
Right.
Yeah, I
Yeah, it
remember
was-
in our like Horizon chat, one of the people called Spencer, who was on the 2012 World Champion team, he like went through and he calculated like teams could like if they were gonna enforce it, teams could get like negative scrutineering points. I thought that was the funniest thing. But yeah, I don't know if that ever. So you're saying like that never came to be, or
I think they capped it as that you can just get 0.
Yeah,
yeah.
Because to be fair, anything after losing 220 points on scrutineering,
yeah.
it's bad.
Yeah, 'cause
Whatever
as insult
happens
to
at that
injury,
point.
you know.
Yeah,
And they've been known to do things like this before, or just negate people breaking the rules because a lot of people have done it. Like in our year, it's far more minor, but they brought out in situ renders in 2015, and people were required to provide in situation renders, like we see all the time now.
yeah.
Precision actually got hit with this, and a bunch of other teams got hit with it because we only had the like infinite white background type render. And I honestly don't know how we missed it, but it happened, and so we didn't actually get point penalized for that because pretty much everyone except a couple of the German teams, Vast Velocity, I remember, I think that was the name, did it, and the winners, Union Racing International had them as well, but there was like only 10 or so teams that done it.
That's why they won.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's why. They won. I think if you look at their engineering, you'll probably work out why they won and their verbals and the like. But yeah, so they've been known to negate things like that before. So
Yeah.
I think just moving on. What do you think the 3 most critical things were to your success for F1 in schools? Obviously, you talked about earlier how you didn't feel like you were going to win, or you were competing for the podium when you were there. Looking back, what do you think were the things that helped you win the most?
I think we did quite a big focus on the enterprise side. So we got the enterprise award, but we didn't get things like best engineered car. So I think that's where, in the end, the majority of the points that gave us the advantage came from.
Yeah.
And that we put quite a big focus on. And also we did quite a lot of sort of community work sort of thing, so promoting STEM. So we started a project that all new students at our school do in lessons, and then we also went into primary schools with a kit car competition that we made, and we run that for a day. And I think F1 in schools like that on the enterprise side. So I think that helped to give us an edge there.
Yeah, I think it's quite easy to get carried away with doing lots and lots of the engineering because it's kind of seen as an engineering competition, but actually you've got to look where the marks are, and the marks aren't all in the car and in the engineering. There's lots of marks in the verbals, lots of marks in enterprise. So you just got to dish out your own time, your own effort, where all the marks are.
Yeah, I think we really tried to create a rounded package. And so
yeah, we were concerned. Well, I was concerned going in that we might place okay, but we wouldn't win anything because we weren't really good at one area. We weren't really bad at one area. We're okay at most of the sections.
Yeah, you do a precision racing, you'd be all right at everything, and just end up 10th.
Yeah.
Except they went a little better than 10th.
Yes, clearly. What they thought they were going to place, you know. But and so I think what you guys hit on is probably something that Australian teams have been hitting on for a while. Is that if you look at the national finals, especially professional class in Australia, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I feel like it's a very high level of enterprise competition.
Yeah.
I think the enterprise and the brand identity side of F1 schools is very present in Australia, and I get that sense because precision strength was the enterprise. Engineering wasn't the strongest. And like Infinitude, if you look at Infinitude's branding and that kind of thing, I think that's probably something that heavily contributed to their success. And Horizon also had a very clear team identity and enterprise side, wouldn't you say, James?
I mean, we definitely had a lot of. There was a lot you could improve on as far as the enterprise and stuff. I don't think we probably hit it as well as we could have. I don't really know. I didn't have as much to do with that. But I think a lot of that probably for us could have. You had a bit more of effort put into it.
I think, can we all agree, we all could have done something better from our time in the competition?
Oh, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But in general, I think you guys also hit on the enterprise is important also, because I see a lot of international teams, they put all this effort into their engineering, and then I look at their enterprise side, I'm like, there was an attempt.
I think a lot of those teams have bigger problems than just their enterprise, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. That I think some don't focus on it. Yeah.
And so obviously one of the issues that those teams suffer with probably is getting sponsorship. And so I'd just like to take a second to plug our sponsor today, Squarespace.
That was a very smooth transition.
Just to be clear, Squarespace hasn't actually sponsored the podcast, though if any of your reps are listening, hit us up, contact@offthetrack.net. But no, seriously, what strategy...
I know how to get a Skillshare sponsorship if you want it.
Oh.
Maybe we will. Maybe that'll be useful for branding and stuff like that. But Evolve, what do you think? What do you think are some of the biggest? What are your best strategies? Maybe you don't want to give it away, but what are some of your top strategies for acquiring or finding sponsors?
I don't think we have any, magic tricks to it necessarily. We just,
I think it's a case of ask a lot of people. In the end, the vast majority of people will go, "Oh, that's nice. Good luck. We're not giving you any money though."
Yeah. I guess the way we did it was we sent a physical letter, followed up by an email, and then
a phone call.
And then a phone call at the end.
So
by the end of it, when you've pestered them enough, they normally give you a response one way or another.
Yeah, and some people give you basically go away money. We'll give you
really
£50. Yeah, we had a few people a few companies that gave us £50 because I think they were just like, now you'll go away and you won't pester us anymore.
But now the new team, our school's new team, now lots of companies giving them lots of money because they've seen.
They're just getting all of the money that we've earned from them. Yeah, our sponsor, so our main sponsor, BAE Systems, have sponsored them already. They're not even going to Worlds yet, the new team. They've sponsored them the same that they sponsored us.
Yeah, and
That's
they were our
awesome.
platinum sponsor.
They're our platinum sponsor, and they basically gave us half of our sponsorship for Worlds. So what the new team will spend it on, I don't know.
Yeah, we had the exact same thing the year after the team that went after us. They just they had people wanting to give them money. It was like, oh, so annoying. Yeah,
Like, what?
yeah.
Oh, that was us.
They just it was so annoying. Yeah, I mean, it's good for them. I mean, they
Yeah.
didn't end up doing that well, but
I was just going to say, I think for raising sponsorship, especially when you're starting out as a team, it's best to go local. If you write to your national BMW branch, they're going to go, "Who are you?" No. But if you write to a local dealership or a local company, they'll be like, "Oh, I'd rather support someone from my town." You're more likely to get, when you're starting out for regionals, things like that, and you're raising much less money, I think it's good to sort of build up slowly from smaller companies.
Yeah.
And then I think for Worlds, it is a case, that's when you start to branch out, because you go, we're going to the World Finals. And they see that as a bigger thing. I know if we approached BAE Systems before the regionals, I don't think they would have.
There would be no
They
chance
wouldn't have
that they would
sponsored us.
Yeah.
Because I think
Yeah.
it helps to see success and that the team you're sponsoring is moving forward. So I think, especially if you're a new team that hasn't started before, that can be quite difficult. But when we went to BAE Systems, we were fortunate that they're a global engineering firm.
yeah.
But third largest aerospace, whatever.
Fun fact:
we
also worked on the what's that big old railgun? That's it.
They did,
Nice.
yes. Yeah. They do maybe specialise in arms. And defence. That's the word, defence. But we were lucky that they had a local factory branch area that was not too far from us, that we could apply to them for sponsorship. And I think that's a lot more effective than applying to BAE Systems national headquarters in the UK, something like that. So,
and if you're looking for a sponsorship for local competition, don't be afraid to hit up not traditionally engineering type businesses. Like, I know I work at McDonald's at the moment, and licensees who own the stores have incentives from McDonald's and expectations that they'll support the community they're in. And so it probably doesn't work so well in the UK because it's owned a lot by McDonald's directly, but in Australia particularly, reaching out to local stores that are franchises, you could get I don't know, $100, $200, something out of them for promotion and that kind of thing, if you're going to a regionals or a states or something like that.
So, and reach out to people that you actually know. Like if you know someone who is in some sort of executive position at a local business.
Not even just executive, middle to upper management.
Yeah, that kind of thing. They're your best bet for getting sponsorship.
Because one of our big sponsors, Jetpack, they did a bunch of printing for us and helped us a bunch. We reached them through one of our team members, Charlie, at Nationals, and his dad was a marketing coordinator for them, and so we got to work with their Launchpad team, which specialized in prototyping products and that kind of thing. And so Jetpack is an international brand that provides packaging for McDonald's, Burger King, Hungry Jack's, all those kind of things. And so they were willing to work with us because one of our team members, dad was part of their company. So there's definite reach there as well.
Yeah, and I think the non-traditional, non-engineering businesses, they are definitely always good to ask for sponsorship. I think we had 3 architecture firms on our final car.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, sort of, I think they all wanted to compete with each other. But just things like that. Yeah, and we had a fire protection company.
Yeah, all kinds of companies. As you were saying earlier, if you do know the people, it's much harder for them to say no.
Yeah.
And in the nicest possible way, that's kind of what you're hoping for.
Yeah, you've got to guilt trip people into sponsoring.
Yeah, it's pretty,
At first.
Yeah, it is difficult to raise money for everyone in schools, so you have to take the chances.
And so, what do you think your just general? Give us some sage advice for maybe development teams, starting out dev teams or new professional teams. What do you think some top tips you have for them would be?
I don't know what it's like in other countries, but I think for the UK, I don't actually know that. I've never done development, but I know it can be. This isn't really advice. This first point isn't really advice, but I know it can be quite hard in the UK because usually one development team goes through from each regionals versus 3 professional teams, and there'll be as many development teams in competing at each regional as professional team, so it can be harder to get through. I think first of all, use development especially as a chance to not have to do everything you would have to do in professional, and sort of use it as a jumping board, a step up for professional, which is generally where you're going to be able to get through to the national finals and maybe the world finals. So
it is a good place to learn, but I would say from the people I've talked to, most people say just go straight to professional. That's what our teams have done.
From what I'm
actually thinking the same. Yeah,
that's what I hear a lot of from like the UK, and like having you explained how the system works with regionals to nationals and nationals to worlds kind of thing. It doesn't make much sense to do development. In Australia, I think development's still a very viable option. I don't know about you, James, but Precision Racing was a development team that got given probably far too much leeway up to the world finals. So we were an independent development team, which I think was the first and last time that will ever happen.
Yeah, it was kind of different circumstances though, because at the time a Brighton team won development and came second in professional class. So if you went strictly by the rules, they would have been sending 2 Brighton teams to one world finals. So I think instead they let you guys go independently, and they just expected that you would combine both the teams. But I mean, I think other years, like when we went to Spectrum, I mean, it varies team to team, and I guess it's how hard you think, how well maybe a teacher or someone at the school thinks the team is, if they're that good. But I think for Spectrum, I think if we had just gone as professional straight away, it would have been better for us because we would have been able to go independently. Even though international collaboration was a really great experience, it still would have probably led to better results if we could have gone on our own.
Yeah, and I think without going up to nationals, I think REA may have, I don't want to say overestimated, but they certainly estimated that we had a high capability, because we had 3 Brighton teams. We had Rapid Fire, Precision Racing, and Automotive Innovation at that nationals, and we really stood out from Automotive because we lost to them. They lost to us by 2 points at the States, and then lost to us by 50 points at the nationals. So I think their REA kind of thought that we were going to do really well at the Worlds, which we didn't particularly end up doing. But yeah, I think I agree with Evolve's advice that maybe in the UK give development a skip unless you think that you're sufficiently young that you can go back and do another season, and that you think you need the experience. Does anyone have anything else to add?
I mean, yeah, no, I think development. Also, I feel like someone's asked this question, asking for help with development, and all we've done is go, don't do it. Do it. I mean, I think it'll still be really fun, and it is, especially if you're young. It's probably a really good way of getting used to what you have to do, and also when you go to the competition, you'll see what professional class is like, and you'll see what you're aiming to do next year. Device for development class, I mean, generally it'd be the same I would give for professional class. It would be really focus on making sure your car is legal, because you can spend ages trying to get a few more points in your engineering portfolio, but you could lose that in just not checking something on your car.
I just check the car. It's so easy to not lose points on the car.
Yeah.
An example is Precision at Worlds was one of 2 teams that did not lose points on the car. One of 2 teams. And
Yeah.
And for you guys, you had tolerances at the time. There was tolerances in the rules. Like that's insane.
Yeah. It wasn't just a dead line, and we had tolerance in the rules. So it was so much easier to be legal, and people still managed to not be legal somehow. Don't be those people, okay? In the instance of scrutineering, be precision, be precise, okay?
Come 10th.
Don't do that. But don't lose easy points. And 100% agree.
Yeah.
On the topic of well-engineered cars, have you guys ever won best engineered car competing in F1 in schools?
No, we haven't. And I feel like I know who asked this question.
Peter.
I think it's somebody from...
Peter, do you know who asked this question?
I can check for you.
Let's check live on air.
I think as well with the whole scrutineering thing, a lot of people think they're being smart by like I don't know, like if they're gonna do something with the front wing, they'll be like, oh, we'll just lose a couple points here and then we'll gain it like that, and then we'll have a faster car. But it's literally never worth it. Like just don't do it. Like
didn't Infinitude break a rule or two to?
Yeah, and I highly doubt there'll ever be a situation like that again that really comes up. So like it's like. But it's such a different circumstance. Like, if you have a team going to the state finals or regional finals or national finals, and they think they're smart by like losing 20 points or something like that because they're going to have a front wing that's a little bit shorter, sort of thing. Like, it's never going to be worth it, sort of thing. So just don't do it. Just make everything legal.
I thought it was.
Okay.
So that is a dig at us because it's from the new team at our school. And no, we've never won best engineered car, and is very aware that we've never won best engineered car, and they won it at regionals. So
it's a pretty cool award, I must say.
Yeah, no, it would be a nice award, but
would you not accept the trophy just because of how large it was? Would you not take the award?
Wait, what?
What? Us?
At Worlds.
Ascension.
Oh, us.
Oh, okay.
What do you mean? I mean, it was a pain to transport, sure, but you know, it makes a good shelf ornament.
You've put it on a shelf.
What else am I meant
kind
to
of shelf have you got?
Yeah,
what was the award, Ben? What was the award?
The best engineered car.
Yeah, what did you get? What was the trophy?
The rear end plate of the Williams FW39.
Ah, nice.
Right.
I don't know if you.
Wait, is it just sitting on a shelf in your house, or is it?
Yeah,
at the school?
39. He's from the future.
No, it's at the school.
I was gonna say.
No,
What kind of shelf?
I don't personally have a shelf large enough. But we've got some pretty good shelves at our school, I must say. It makes for good putting stuff on, I guess.
I thought that was the coolest trophy.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I saw one that was like a couple front. I think it was the Mercedes one. I guess that was fastest car. Had like a couple of pieces off a front wing or something.
Yeah, it was a couple of splines, I think.
Yeah,
Can't remember.
that
Have I
was
got a
pretty
picture
cool.
of it somewhere? I don't know.
The fastest car in our year was a little barge board piece that hangs over the side pod for the Mercedes car. I thought that was pretty cool. There's a lot of cool trophies at the Worlds like that.
Brighton must have a lot of cool trophies.
Brian has a fully assembled F1 car from all the awards. There's actually not that many. I think the only ones F1 ones there are is there's a like a turning vane from a barge board from a 2012 Mercedes. There's the brake disc, the Infinitude one from a Mercedes. There's that side pod piece for fastest car. I think that's it, really.
Oh, no, don't forget the one that Precision won. It's super easy to transport.
What did Precision win?
What is it?
Thin air.
Yeah. A vial of air from inside the cockpit of one of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
No way
could
to
sell
check.
that and say, "Hey, Schumacher, breathe this oxygen."
So, enterprise-wise, Evolve, what do you think one of your what was the most important thing for you guys on the enterprise side of things?
Well, personally, I think team identity is pretty important, more than just for that portfolio, but for the whole look of your team. I mean, Lewis did do the enterprise portfolio. He's not here at the moment, but I think he'd probably say the marketing. I think that's an area which we do quite a lot of with our ethos of evolving future engineers and our work within the local community.
Mm.
Yeah, I think the community worked with the mark scheme as in the I think for marketing in the portfolio they want to see you marketing F1 in schools. And I think they were happy that we did that, and we did things so we went along at the Institute of Engineering Technology. We went along to sort of promote F1 in schools there, like helping out F1 in schools. I think they like to see things like that. I think we talked a lot about how we worked in a team as a three and sort of how that made us, how we could be efficient with that.
Right.
Yeah, if we're talking about the enterprise, just is enterprise as in a portfolio, or as in what do you want, like portfolio, or as in like the whole sort of enterprise side?
Just like the
including
enterprise, like just what you like the enterprise side of things, not just the portfolio, but just like
Yeah.
basically everything you just talked about. Everything that wasn't engineering focused.
Yeah. I mean,
everything that presents your brand and your team and that kind of thing.
Yeah, our pit display, I think we're very happy with that. So Freddie worked on that, and I think the judges liked the fact that it was cardboard, and which made it recyclable, and the fact that it would fit into a box that we could take as a suitcase, and that saved us lots of money. I think they like to see things like that, and we ended up with being awarded the pit display award, which we're very happy with.
Yeah, I think they're looking a little bit more at sustainability this year. I see a lot of teams with really expensive pit displays, and then they're kind of just thrown away at the end of the competition. So I think they like the fact that we could pack ours down into a box and just fly it back with us.
Yeah, like the Welsh team at our nationals in 2015, they had an inflatable pit display. I think they got nominated. Wow. Yeah, I think they got nominated, or they won the pit display award for that, because the judges.
That's got to be easy to set up.
No, literally, like 20 minutes and they were done. And here was I still in the pit display, 12
out
seconds.
Of breath, but
12 seconds. 12 seconds to go. He's still trying to fiddle with the electronics so it would light up. But yeah, it certainly pit display innovation is something that the judges like to see, and I think sustainability is probably going to be a bigger focus of the competition moving forward, especially considering the recent moves of people like Greta Thunberg and that. But we're not going to go down that rabbit hole of politics on the podcast.
I think it's a bit dumb though. Like a lot of teams were kind of saying that and stuff, but like if you're gonna make I know, yeah, like I saw some of the pit displays were like out of foam and cardboard and stuff, but like if they just get thrown out at the end of the competition, it's kind of not that sustainable as opposed to something being reused and something like that, I guess.
I mean, I can say the Precision Racing pit display has been very reusable because it's still, well, at least when I last went, it was still at Brighton, sitting in the F1 room.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just say it's still in the F1 room.
Right.
I think it got broken down into pieces and thrown away. I'm sorry to break it to you live.
Oh my!
It could have at least told me. I would have taken it, covered up a picture of my face, and put it up in my house.
I don't actually know if it's still a thing.
I'm going to be talking to the F1 schools teacher about that.
They're throwing a bunch of stuff away. I think they got rid of a lot of stuff over the summer last year. But this was like at the start of last year that I think they did that.
Okay, well, I think they're making a massive mistake.
A massive
And I think, well, I mean, we don't have a Brighton team at nationals for the first time in 8 years, so I think that speaks for itself, to be honest.
What's your
True.
pit display doing, Evolve?
Yeah.
We took it back, and then we put it up as a sponsors event afterwards.
Okay.
Then it sort of, because we've got 3 sort of cardboard tables. I say table, sort of stands. I think one of them got painted over and reused by the new team. The other bits I think are sitting on a shelf. And then the banners are rolled up somewhere. We don't have enough. It's not really anywhere to put it up in our school. It was up for a few weeks in our school after we won, but then everyone sort of started prodding it and things broke. So it's sort of a bit, it's not really. Well, we've lost the whole third of the table, so it can't really be reused. But
No.
I guess it can be put down and recycled. And I think the cardboard got reused in art projects and stuff,
Right.
and
That's
tech
good.
projects and stuff like that. Yeah, that's. I think I haven't been back. I don't know. I haven't been back in school recently, so I don't really know.
So how is post F1 in schools treating you guys? What is
It's
it like?
it's been pretty incredible. So, I mean, sort of coming back to school was an interesting event.
Oh, that video
Oh.
that F1
Yeah,
that's
posted,
insane.
that was insane.
Was that the one from the knockouts or from?
No, that was when like your whole school was cheering.
Because there's
you
one.
guys. That was
Oh yeah,
awesome.
when we came back, yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's one from knockouts where everyone.
Oh
'cause
yeah, and that one too.
The head teacher put everyone in the hall
Oh yeah.
and went, "Here's his." Well, and then Crofty goes, "And it's victory for Evolve,"
Yeah.
and everyone cheers. That was fun.
No, that was really cool.
So the school I think the school were very happy because we haven't really been world champions at anything before. So
okay.
it's been quite a big thing at school. But then we've had lots of opportunities. So recently we went to F1 HQ in London. And
Oh, wow.
so
Nice.
we were walking around there and we spoke to Pat Simmons about the new 2021 regulations and stuff like that. Stuff like, fun stuff. And it was cool. And we just saw like Chase Carey coming out of the bathroom, stuff like that. A bit weird. He sort of bumped into us. And we presented to people there about our work. And we were with Andrew Denford and people from F1 in schools. I think, as a sort of reminding F1 about F1 in schools and trying to get support for it and stuff like that. But so that was really
awesome.
That was really cool to go there. We've done some judging. What I've done judging. That was an interesting event of sort of seeing the other side of what happens.
Mm.
So I think I'm going to the national finals. That'll be quite fun. And Lewis and I are on the Williams Academy, so we've got our first stuff through from that, and that's quite interesting. I think that'll be great. And also next year I'm going to university, and it's great because I'm taking up the scholarship from UCL.
Mhm.
So that'll be. So I mean, just things like that saves me £40,000, which is many Australian dollars as well.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
that it just saves me a lot of money on my university education. So
Because
we've had some
university
great opportunities.
is expensive in the UK now, isn't it?
Yeah. So it would be over the 4 years to do an engineering course. It would be £40,000 roughly to.
That's crazy. It would be like 40,000
tuition.
Australian dollars. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like
Which
double
is
the
like double.
price.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because you'd
It
be
would be
looking at
7,000.
30 to 40,000
7,000.
Australian dollars.
Yeah, it's about 78,000 Australian dollars.
Yeah.
78,580.08 at this current point in time.
Oh, that is a more specific figure than I have, but yeah. No, so it saves a lot of money, which is great. And I think recently they've been having problems with too many Australians winning and going, I was on a university in the UK. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Agars took it up. I mean, that was
Yeah,
8
that
years
was
ago
the-
now, but
That's fine.
the most
That's-
recent person to have taken the scholarship was from the 2015 team, so I think
yeah, Max.
it's a bit overdue. Yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah, so no, but I'm very happy to. I'm really excited
Yeah.
for that, and then also things like when we were at the World Final and afterwards at the Grand Prix, and we got tours of garages, and we had people going like, "Oh, come along!" Someone from Toro, we had an offer from Toro Rosso to just. They said, "Oh yeah, come along to pick a Grand Prix. If you can get here, we'll put you up and you can be in the garage over the weekend." So pretty like stuff like that, which is pretty awesome and
yeah, wow.
very lucky to have.
Did you get any offers like that, James?
No, not really.
Oh, okay.
We
Someone
but
got
we
short.
I did get into doing scrutineering for F1 through CAMS, so that's just motorsport in general. But like last year at the Grand Prix, the Australian Grand Prix, I did scrutineering. So for that, I was in the Haas garage during qualifying and in the McLaren one on Sunday. So that was pretty cool. And I'm doing that again this year in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was sort of something that I leveraged because of F1. Yeah, but no like offers from teams or anything.
Williams offered us a similar thing when we went into their garage. However, they're not responding to my emails. So Claire Williams, if you're watching this, I'd love to I'd love to attend the Australian GP. Thank you.
Contact at offthetrack.net.
Change ben@ascensionaus.com.au. Thank you.
So Evolve, how does it feel to be world champions but still lose the Ashes?
But still lose the Ashes.
Really, and really,
We did the same thing. We did the same
inferior.
thing.
Yeah, but like, I mean, we're on the different side of the fence here now, James. So
Yeah.
like, have you really won if you lost the Ashes? I don't really know which side I'm on, to be honest, because I was born in the UK, but I live in Australia, so
Same here, Michael.
yeah.
Same here.
Peter and I are conflicted.
This podcast is just overrun with British people.
Yeah. We're taking over. It was, I mean, so we'd just finished the knockout racing and we'd won that. And then suddenly someone came up with some Ashes and we're like, oh, wait, are we doing the Ashes now? I was like, oh, okay, we're doing the Ashes. And then we'd been getting, our car had been really, so we'd had quite like the day before, we'd had quite a slow car and our reactions had been awful. But then I'd had Red Bull for the first time and suddenly we're getting good reactions. And our car had just picked up the pace. So we did well in the knockout racing. And then it was one race. It was just one straight race, flip a coin, see which lane you get against Evolve Australia. And then we raced and it was an awful reaction time and our car was really slow. And it was just like, I'm still really happy anyway because we just won the knockouts, which was, of all of the awards we thought we weren't going to win, it would be the knockouts. Just sort of assumed we never would. So, yeah. So that we're on a high anyway, and sort of, it would have been nice, but
I'm gonna take it as a win for Australia anyway.
Did they stream the Ashes? I don't remember it.
No.
No, they didn't, which is a shame.
They sort of, I don't quite know, because they pretty much got most of the people to start packing up pit displays or something. So there weren't that many people watching the race even at the event. So it was a bit sort of...
I mean, it's only got
I don't know if they didn't...
two countries' real interest in it, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't... But it's almost like they were trying to, sort of take attention away from it. I don't know whether they just didn't want to seem like they're being biased towards two countries or something like that.
Considering how many countries are involved in F1 schools now, I mean, I would not be surprised if the Ashes disappears at some point in the future.
Do we know the origin of the Ashes? Like, who started it? When did it start?
Not a
Dunno.
clue.
Yeah.
Well,
I
apparently
mean,
there are two.
Sorry, continue.
Well, apparently there are two cars that have been burnt and are in the ashes, like an English and an Australian car.
Oh.
I didn't know that.
That's what they said, but I've no idea which two cars or when from what year. So
Are there actually ashes in there?
yeah, apparently it's the ashes of two cars.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like they could crack it open and find out. But,
Can we get an Ashes
maybe we'll get-
unboxing video from Evolve?
Yeah, maybe we'll get the other Evolve on next episode. I mean, I can just see Mike Myers and Andrew Dempford just starting a little competition between each other, you know. And,
Oh, that's got to be it.
that's definitely how it happens.
They were
Like,
talking one night, and it's just
yeah,
like,
both
tell you
of them
what,
have a
Dempford,
little bit too much.
I
and-
bet my cars are better than your cars. my toy cars go faster than yours.
That's definitely how it happened.
Denford, can you please reach out to us and confirm this? Thank you.
We'll be able
he's
to
gonna-
ask him.
We
Yeah.
can.
Or
And
both.
Mike, we can ask both of them.
That's Well, that's
That's incredible.
okay. So everyone, there will be follow up on this topic. Stay tuned to Off the Track for this exclusive on the origins of F1 in schools Ashes races, and maybe some updates on when they eventually pull it from the competition. Because mark my words, it'll happen at some point.
All right. then.
Mark your words. Huh.
But we have a couple of fun questions for you guys to end the podcast with. Number one being, just how good is Mr. Fowler?
Very. Okay.
Cool. This is rapid fire round. No, we're just going to leave it at
Is
that.
it rapid?
Very.
I'll sort of
Very.
look at the next one.
Have you tried
Uh,
souvlaki?
I don't eat meat, so no.
I don't know what souvlaki is. Oh,
It's like a kebab, isn't it?
Yeah,
that
it's
looks
like
good.
A good. It's like a kebab, but better.
All
It's on a
right.
skewer, isn't it, or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've done the same thing with vegetables, but I don't really think I don't know if you can
that
call
doesn't
it
count.
souvlaki.
No, that's
Yeah.
not souvlaki. That's no.
That's vegetables on a skewer.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And will you guys be competing at the Hunter Regional Finals?
What are the Hunter regional?
Also, yes.
Well, I'm glad you asked.
The
Um,
Hunter
what-
Regional Finals are the regional finals that Ascension started off their journey at.
As
The Hunter
screaming
Regional
demons.
Finals. Oh no, shush. The Hunter Regional Finals are the most prestigious F1 schools event. I'll have you know.
I'm afraid we won't be. We
Oh.
very.
They didn't make
very-
it through.
I regret to inform you that we shan't be competing.
Ah.
However much we would like to.
It's
I'm
very
lucky.
hard to get into that.
Yeah.
It's a very exclusive club. You must know Graham Chamberlain personally. Matthew can vouch for me. That's all I'm saying.
I can.
Okay. Well, look, I think we've gone through all the questions we have for you guys. Do you guys have any questions for us, the world famous hosts of Off the Track?
Well, I've thought so many. No. You know, it's like when someone's no, but it's like you're. I've sort of thought of questions over the like listening to previous podcasts. Oh, I've got loads of questions. I think it's like when you go to a presentation. You're like, oh, I really need to ask a question at the end. I just can't think of any. So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, you should've written it down.
What do you have planned in future episodes?
Wow.
I would like to interview Andrew Denford at the national finals coming up.
So is he
gonna
going
be
to
there?
us?
He is.
Is he going to Australia?
Really? What? Oh, I might have to show up now.
Oh, please.
Oh,
I can always-
no. We'll see how my roster turns out.
I haven't seen you in 4 years, so
It'll
I'm
be
waiting.
a good reunion, and we'll have an on-site. We'll actually have a competent reporter this time.
I'm
The last
sorry,
one,
okay?
The last one
Look.
has been terminated. After what happened with Carol's by Crofty Light, we were severely disappointed in the performance. So hopefully Peter does better.
Look, I was kind of competing, okay? I had a bit on my
Kind
mind.
of. Kind of. You only came 5th.
Exactly.
But
So you had the time to actually do the vox pops.
yeah, he could have, but he
Look,
didn't.
there may have
so-
been a lot of time in my hotel room sleeping.
Sleep is not important.
Oh,
Look, I tried to sleep as good as I could, and then that didn't work out, so I was running off coffee for the entirety of the trip.
Right. Yes. Well, to seriously answer your question, Off the Track is looking at creating episodes that to help the new competitors. And you guys said at some point that apparently our podcast was some help in getting you ready for the World Finals. I don't take it that seriously, apparently, but
No, I think no,
if it's actually helping, and maybe I'll start taking it seriously.
No, I think the non-seriousness was good because it made it seem not like too serious, like
made it
fun.
seem authentic.
Encourage, because I think that's the thing. You should enjoy the competition.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
doing that was good. And I mean it was good just to sort of get an idea of what Worlds would be like, rather than say stuff like how to exactly win. It was more just in terms of getting an idea of what it would be like, considering we'd never been before. So I think that was what I liked about it.
Right.
How was the world competition? Like, how did it live up to your expectations compared to what you thought it would be like in hindsight?
It was. I think I built it up because previously I'd watched the live streams and stuff, and sort of when you're actually being interviewed by Crofty on the live stream, it was really good fun to be there, and it was quite an amazing venue, and especially the award ceremony on the track.
Yeah,
was pretty cool.
It
was. I mean, it was a massive step up from the national finals.
Yeah.
So it was definitely it was definitely sort of fulfilled all the expectations I had for it. So yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Is there anything you guys want to see us do on the podcast or talk about?
I don't know. I mean, I always like the engineer. I like the chats when you talk about the sort of when you did the first episode about the rules and you were talking about
It's going to be more engineering
stuff.
episodes.
You may notice that of all of the episodes, the 3 consistent hosts have been Ben, Peter, and myself. None of who are engineers. So when James and Jesse and Luke are available, we'll try and do engineering ones, but we make no promises. Graphics and branding is far more in our ball court of the regular hosts at the moment.
Do you want a pretty picture? We can do those.
Yeah. I mean, Matt, what did you do? Were you graphics as well?
I was a bit of both, really. So I did. So when I was up to nationals, I was the manufacturing engineer, but I did a lot of branding stuff for the social media and website, because manufacturing is sort of a role that is only useful at the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if everyone wants to come back on, we'll do engineering episodes with you guys as well if you want. Like,
that would be. We'd be honoured. So.
I would expect so.
As you say, this is the world famous Off the Track podcast. So.
Yes.
Any chance
favorite of everyone at REA at the moment?
Yeah, I can cause you much hassle by going, no, I can't do that time because that's 4:00 in the morning.
Oh, don't worry, we have enough trouble with times as it is.
Okay, yeah.
And people not showing up. So Jesse, if you're listening to this right now, we're very disappointed in you.
Yeah.
Called out.
He's online now.
Is he?
Oh, he is.
Of course he is.
He has been since about 8:00.
8:00, which time zone?
How long have we been going for? Oh my god, we've been going for 1:40.
Oh, really? Okay.
Is this our longest
I think
episode?
it's our longest
Oh,
episode.
easily.
Yeah. The next longest is probably the first one at 45 minutes, I think it was.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
how much does it get cut down by, roughly?
It's a good 5 to 10 minutes. It depends on how liberal I'm feeling at the time.
God.
Okay.
Today's episode is probably not going to be so liberally edited because
It's a lot.
Yeah. Well, no, not just that, but I think we've done a much better job of producing something that I can just almost certainly release straight away.
Craig actually survived this one.
He did. Our recording software survived.
We weren't too much off the topic, you could say.
Aha.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's the line.
And
On that note,
on that bombshell, on that terrible disappointment,
Wow.
because we're never going to follow up with that, even though we keep teasing it all the time. Thank you for listening to Off the Track. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. If you'd enjoyed this episode, which let's be honest, you better have. You can rate the show on Apple Podcasts.
you must rate the show. You must
you
rate the show.
You've got to. 5 stars. It really helps us, or at least that's what I get told when I listen to other podcasts. Not that I listen to any podcast that isn't Off the Track, because it's the only podcast anyone should ever listen to.
I think you're the only host who listens to the podcast.
We won't say that though. Because if we say that, people might think
Who listens to a podcast that they record though? You just
I
listen to
know-
a conversation you've
that-
already had.
I know that plenty of podcasts listen to the hosts listen to it.
Yeah, keep
so-
telling yourself that. Keep telling yourself that.
Mhm. And just make sure to follow us on Instagram at Off the Track Podcast and visit us at offthetrack.net. Again, thank you, Evolve, for taking time out of what I'm sure is a very busy schedule with, I don't know, Andrew Demford and uni and whatever
I want a
your
gap year, so-
finalists, or whatever finalists do with their time, I wouldn't know.
No, thank you very much for having us.